means it's news day. What adventures in the AI realm must the DAS Fellowship face this week? Nightfall blankets the bustling town of Etherfall. With the whispering tone, the tavern hums with a life. Travelers trading tales, merchants whispering deals, and shadowy figures hiding secrets waiting to be unearthed. A cloaked figure steps from the shadows, joining your table uninvited. Heroes, the voice rumbles softly. Our realm stands at the edge of uncertainty. Forces stir that threaten the balance we cherish. From the east, Alibaba, the sage, has unveiled powerful new magic. Open source spells and enchantments that could revolutionize the arcane fabric of our world. Such unprecedented power, freely available, risks falling into dangerous hands. Meanwhile, in the fiery depths of Yellowstone, hidden tremors quake beneath the surface. AI seers warn of 86,000 unseen earthquakes, secrets of nature, or signs of impending disaster. You must uncover the truth that lies deep within these volcanic chambers. Elsewhere, Furiosa AI, the famed artificer who boldly defied the mighty Meta Empire, has forged a secret alliance with a mysterious and influential patron. Who this ally is remains hidden, yet their partnerships could alter the fate of the kingdom. Beth, fierce elven wizard known far and wide for your arcane wisdom. Andy, steadfast dwarven cleric and protector of sacred text. Brian, cunning human rogue renowned for stealth and sharp wit. And Karl, valiant dragonborn paladin, protector of truth and justice. Together you form the DAS Fellowship, an avenging body whose deeds echo across Etherfall. Your paths intertwine at this critical juncture. Each of your unique talents will be indispensable in navigating the trials ahead. The figure leans back, melting once more into the shadow. The fate of Etherfall rests in your hands. Adventurers, choose your path wisely. The tale begins now. It is July 23rd, 2025, episode 513. Today we have Brian and Beth, and I am Jyunmi, and this is the Daily AI Show. Thank you, everyone, for joining the live stream, and to all of you who are watching a little later, if you haven't already, click the bell, like, subscribe, and join the newsletter at thedailyAIshow.com. Okay, let's start off with a quick story, and then we'll go around the horn. We'll start off with Furiosa AI. When I came across this story, it did satisfy a cute little caveat or inch that I had. But apparently, Furiosa AI is a South Korean AI chip startup. All right, and they announced a partnership on Tuesday to supply this chip they call the RNGD to that uses the LG AI Research's model called the EXA-1 platform. Now it's a little, it's definitely a little wordy there with the naming conventions for sure. But the main thing is that they were approached by Meta, offered $800 million as an acquisition offer. They said no. They didn't agree with what the roadmap was or what Meta planned to do with their chips. But this chip is essentially a high-performance LLM or AI model-focused chip, right? So we've heard of Grok with a Q, right, which is an LLM-focused processing chip. But apparently this RNGD from Furiosa, I like the name too, they get 2.25 times the performance as other competitive GPUs in the market. So while I didn't say specifically against which NVIDIA chips they got this performance against, but any chip that claims that they get over twice the performance out of it for AI models in general, and then specifically this LG one, is something to pay attention to. So when I saw that come across, combine the name with the fact that they turned down a meta offer, that sparked my interest.
Wow, that was amazing. I will also say that you just named us, but you are not in the. You were the figure who disappeared into the book, but you should join the team later on the path, right?
Yeah. So, all right. So, what is let's quick fire. What are some of the interesting but quick stories that each of you have?
I have a quick story question. Allie Miller posted that just posted like a general message. The most likely reason for delay in a model that had been announced is like safety issues, alignment, those kinds of things. But I can't find anyone who just said that their model is delayed. Did anybody find that? Because I'm like, wait, is this about GPT-5? And it's like, nope. So I don't know if that's inside information that we will get an announcement that model has been delayed.
Yeah, the only model delay I heard of was that the open source version of an OpenAI model was pushed back a couple of times. That's the one that I heard. I did hear some rumors that GPT-5 might come out this week or next week or something like that. But
I thought so too.
Rumors.
And that's why I was like, wait, did I miss news that like this isn't happening?
I'm all for new fun toys to play with. But personally, I hope they take their time. And honestly, if they delayed it 5 more months, I wouldn't care, because I think they have to get it right. I think it has to be right. And there's, with this particular release, if it's what I heard Sam Altman talk about months ago, maybe the beginning of this year, could even be 2024, was we don't want our users to have to bounce around through the different models. Absolutely. It should just be intelligent enough to handle it like I do when I do Perplexity. It just simply grabs the right model for it. That needs to be right. I mean, they're having no issues with growing, but I just feel like this is a logical next step. And maybe this is a quick pivot into one of the stories I had. It's not the one I was going to say, but this is from, I got this off of.
Before you do that, let me just do the right quote. You can interpret any AI lab's delay in model or system release to be due to safety evaluations, risk concerns, production gaps, rollout friction, leadership hesitancy, or strategic value hoarding. Could be one of these, could be many, worth keeping an open mind about causes, and was posted at 9:44 Eastern time this morning.
And this was somebody, so for my knowledge here, because maybe I missed it, this is somebody at OpenAI that had posted this?
No, this is Allie K. Miller.
Oh, Allie. Okay.
Right. Someone who
she's
knows stuff.
Yeah, so she's in there with a lot of other people for sure. So she's usually a good source. What I was going to say really quick is, it's just a short one. OpenAI says ChatGPT users send over 2.5 billion prompts every day. That's roughly just under 1 trillion requests every year. And that's where they are currently right now. I got this out of The Verge, which is a great resource. I end up on their website quite a bit. Says they see more than 2.5 billion a day with 330 million users based on the US, according to data obtained. They say that it was validated by The Verge from ChatGPT, from OpenAI. So they're saying, yes, this is correct. Although ChatGPT still has a way to go to catch up to Google's 5 trillion annual searches. So they're roughly at 1/5 of that. It's a rapid growth, still presents a major threat to the search giant. In the span of just a few months, ChatGPT's weekly users spiked from 300 million in December to more than 500 million in March. And then it goes on to talk about, from Reuters, there was a suggestion they might be releasing maybe in, around, or along with 5, or whatever they're going to call that, their browser, their standalone browser. On that note, I actually just got recent access to Comet, and so I'll have to play with that from Perplexity. But more to come on that one. I know, Beth, you said you have access to it as well, and I don't know if you had played around with it yet, but I just got access to it, so we'll have to see. So anyway, I said that news story go back to my previous comment. It's not like OpenAI is hurting for users. It's not that, but I do think there's a diminishing wow response that's just going to be natural. And the thing is, like, the next model can do amazing things. And honestly, if it's just better at math and coding and it's more IMO stuff or whatever, it's going to be a disappointment to me. Like, so they need, to me, if it was just me, if they were speaking directly to me and put out this release, it has to walk the line between, we made something better at math and coding, which I'm all for. There's huge scientific, you'll probably get into that, Jimmy. Like, there's so many scientific, news stories that come out of that happening and what Claude is doing and Anthropic and stuff like that. But I need something that shows like how it's all coming back together. And this is a repetitive of what they've done before, which is to say they brought in what would have been DALL-E 2 into the ChatGPT experience, or we used to have to go to code interpreter and that was just folded in. And so OpenAI has done this before. And I think we're at a point where they need to do it again, but it's more about what the models do. And if that means that the prompting needs to come back to me and ask me one additional question to try to get a router of which way it should go based on what I'm looking for, if it's not clear in my initial prompt, I think that's what should happen, because I would much rather see one more question that says, like, are you looking for, like, a deep research, oh, let's go down that road. Or I could do this for you. So, like, give me options, give the user options of like what the tool can do. And I think they'll pick the right mode. I also think ultimately that's going to save money, because people are using O3 for things that don't need to be O3. They're using, 4.0 for most things, but 4.1 is still out there, but maybe it should be a mini or a micro or a nano, or whatever other term you want to throw on top of it. So anyway, I just think there's a lot riding on this next release. And so if they don't feel like they have this nailed, wait. That would be my request.
Right.
Like,
we don't know that
early on it.
We don't know that it's GPT-5. That's just
Sure.
the one that I think we're looking most forward to. I am, anyway.
Yeah, no, understood. Understood. And you're right. There might be several other announcements between now and whatever that thing happens, or whatever they call it, right? Because we don't even know it'll be called GPT-5. They may just rename the whole thing, which would be also kind of smart to do that.
They're calling it GPT-5 in their announcement. So if they rename it,
are they?
I think. Yeah.
Well, this could be an opportunity for them to like rename the models on the back end, just to like instead of calling it 4.0 and 04 and that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's what Sam said. Sam said, okay, yes, we're releasing, I don't know, 04 mini, high, maximum phenomena, but we're going to fix the names in the next release. And then they've started to reference GPT-5. So yes, Brian, I think actually what they're going to do is they're just going to like change things on the back end, right? If GPT-5 is your like basically your model UI essentially, right? It's like how you get to the other models. They don't ever have to tell you what the other models are named.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. And I just wrap up on this one. Cisco said, but by the way, welcome back, Cisco. He's been away from us for a little bit on vacation, and he is back in the chat, and we're happy to see you. Brian, I think one of the more question, the one more question is a huge issue, especially in terms of keeping power electricity costs. It sucks when you watch a response swerve away from the intended and redo. Yeah, I agree. See, like that's kind of my point. I think you're exactly right on that. Cisco is, you don't want to. Yeah, it goes both ways, right? It could be a better user experience, but it also could be a great energy saver by just ensuring that the models are picking the most efficient one, and obviously the least cost, because there's tons and tons of different prompts that I'm sure I've run on 4.0. I have to get my words right. 4.0 that could have been done on like a mini or a nano or something, right? That they just didn't even need that level of it. Even if it's cheap, why not go 10% cheaper or 20% cheaper to that? So yes, I agree. That's all part of it as well. Gareth is suggesting GPT 4.9. Yeah, you never know. It could be. Yeah, they might do that.
All right. So to quickly weave off with another quick story off of what we've been talking about so far is I really do want to know what both of your access to comments going to be like, because Dia from Perplexity or I'm sorry, Dia from Arc and Comet from Perplexity are supposed to both offer these skills features, which essentially are mini automations,
Mm.
right? And so I haven't been able to dig into either of these browsers yet. So whoever does have access, it does sound interesting to me because you essentially they've come up with a AI created and focused scripting feature, right? Because you can do various kinds of things, and I guess that's why they call them skills. So it's mini automations. You can chain some of these together, add different triggers to it, and while the larger question of will we be moving from the browser experience sooner than later, that still needs to be discussed. But with Perplexity and Arc's or the browser company, I should call them, they're doubling down on this feature. So maybe this is just a transitional type of technology to
Yeah.
get people who are already using browsers to more AI first kind of experience. But it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you go to the CEO of Comet, the CEO of Perplexity, Aravind Srinivas, they are sharing a bunch of the use cases. So things like, ooh, it's running your Slack life now. Or here we go. Here's the Comet Assistant making Figma edits, like a baby taking small steps. So maybe that's a positive and a negative. But those kinds of things, they are very much pushing forward the use cases and trying to share those. But I have only seen those on X. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, Brian, do you have another story that you want to highlight today?
I got all sorts, man. One of the ones I wanted to talk about because I know this, I know people that are this personally affected. Anthropic tightens usage limits for Claude Code without telling users. This is something that actually happened later last week, but it was after Wednesday, so I figured we might not have caught it on the news show. But basically, a lot of people know that Anthropic has this 200 a month max plan, and while that may not be a good solution for me, I actually do know quite a bit of like developers, coders, and stuff like that who really saw that as the best money going. In fact, I talked to somebody who's a sort of a adjacent coworker to me and working on a similar, we're working on the same project together, but we're not both at scaled. Regardless, he was talking about how it's saving him like hundreds of dollars a month. And I think Anthropic saw that immediately. One person in this article even talks about how they were well aware that they were asking $1,000 worth of calls per day on a $200 plan. And they're like, it's not that people who are those kind of max users, it's not that they mind, it's that there really wasn't clear communication about it. And as one person pointed out in the article, it just breeds distrust. And Anthropic doesn't need that, right? Like they are, I think, a pretty well trusted company. And so if this was a misstep by Anthropic, I think they definitely should have had a better, clearer communication, especially to those power users who are basically Anthropic was like losing money. I mean, it was pretty obvious they're losing money at $200 a month, which when you think about it, sounds high if you're comparing it to a ChatGPT, but it's just a totally different use case at that level. And they're using, because Anthropic Claude is so good at coding now and its tools that I know a lot of people who are like leaning heavy on it. And as one person pointed out, and this is a TechCrunch article, they said it basically broke their program. It's what they were relying on. They could no longer go forward because of this throttling back. And it caught them off guard while they're in the middle of a development cycle, which you can imagine how stressful that would be. Is if you think you have this really reliable tool and everything's moving along, and all of a sudden you get a cap, and it's like come back in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just something they need to work through. Hopefully, Anthropic does the right thing and communicates correctly. They did come out and say they were aware of some issues. It says we're aware that some Claude Code users are experiencing slower response times. Honestly, they're a bit of a victim of their own success here. We talk about Anthropic quite a bit on the show, but this this really just does show how powerful the coding side of Claude really is. Never mind, Claude is Claude, and how big they're getting in the enterprise space, and how valuable they're becoming to people who are legit coders who've been doing this for decades, if whatever the case may be, and they're relying on this. So they built this amazing tool. They became successful. They're having power throttle issues and probably cost issues. And the fact of the matter is, they probably need to have higher and higher tiers that go above 200, because there's people who will eat all of that up, and there's a price point for that. So go after it. Go figure it out. Is it $1,000 a month? Should there be another $500? Again, to the user, that's going to sound nuts, but people are clearly pointing out. And the guy I was working with on a project said, "Oh, I was saving $300 a month, easy, right, by not doing this directly through API." So right. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up, and hopefully they get that right with their users, because I don't think you want to have like a PR issue from Anthropic right now.
Well, they're having they're in a little interesting kind of growing pains in terms of I think they're coming slightly off their pedestal. There was a quote, and this is just a quick one, Jyunmi. There was a quote from Dario Amodei at the World Economic Forum, and he was asked something about like, "Hey, you seem to have changed a little bit of your like we're for everyone's good." And what he said was, "Unfortunately, I think no bad person should ever benefit from our success is a pretty difficult principle to run a business on." So that's in a note to staff obtained by Wired. So it's not at the Economic Forum. That's just a picture that I was looking at. Sorry. But this feels a little like the Google moment of like do no evil.
And then how they removed it from
right,
their
and how
their
that sort of
header
like this is all for like humanity's benefit. It's always going to be good. We are the good guys. This feels a little like, I mean, if we're going to get in the ring, we have to get in the ring. And some of that, and actually the other piece that came out, I think, is that they're going to make a deal with funding with UAE and Saudi Arabia. Now, I don't know that those are connected. I am not saying that Saudi Arabia and UAE are bad people, but I did read those in like a couple days apart.
That would definitely have implications. That would definitely, I'm with you, not coming down on one side or the other, but that would have implications if they did that. I think that's interesting if that happens, to say the least.
Yeah. Okay.
We should definitely talk more about.
I'm looking at the article now. Yes, weighing pros and cons. Amodei acknowledged in his note that accepting money from Middle East leaders would likely enrich dictators. This is
I'm not saying it.
Here's the thing, right? It may, and again, this could be red string theory, but from the stories that we've seen roll out, specifically about the recent butchering of windsurf, and what the reasons why everything was pulled in all the places, the hyper competitiveness for talent coming out of Meta's actions and their super intelligence group and those kinds of things. And it's not just them. They were the ones who just made the biggest splash and kind of allowed everyone to see what was going on in the background. So it's getting kind of Wild West bloody out there in terms of founders and talent being faced against their initial principles. Right. And so this kind of memo essentially says, okay, we're going to have to take a step back from our stated mission and principles to make sure that we're successful in the long term. And I think that's something they're going to have to process.
Right. And it's totally related to Brian's story. Yeah. Right. I think I'm under the impression that other companies release sort of loss leader models so that they get that usage, they get to
Sure.
learn that stuff, and then they fix it on the back end, and they have the room, right, in their funding, in their compute budget to handle that as a loss leader. And I don't think Anthropic does. And Anthropic may have just bought themselves.
Yeah. I mean,
They
they got billions from Amazon, right? So there's like Amazon is definitely funding them in a lot of ways too. But you're right. Like, look at a Meta. Meta's like, do you know how long we can run at a loss before we have to worry about making
Yes.
any money from this? They did that with, I think it was Instagram. They're like, we think we'll make money off of Instagram, or maybe it was like Oculus. I don't remember, but whatever it was, they're like 8 years. We think we're going to turn a profit in 8 years. Don't care. It's worth it because you get people bought in. They're using your product. Like, so yeah, if you can have a long runway with something like this, it really, really can help. And by the way, I just want to because, sorry, Jimmy, I know you're like, we're sort of round robin in here, but just to wrap up the Anthropic story, there's one other one from 2 days ago. And they released a short report on Build AI in America, where they're sort of putting their hat in the ring and saying, look, this is what we think America needs to do to be competitive against. They call out China in here, and they have sort of a 2-phase approach in it. This is similar to something that came out maybe days before the inauguration of President Trump. From OpenAI. Remember, they put out something and people are like, well, they're trying to get in the good graces of the current government. This seems to be in that same line. I'm not picking political sides here. I'm just simply saying, like, they're working with the current U.S. administration and trying to, influence where they can. And obviously this is going to help them, but they talk about how, look, we're behind where we need to be in terms of comparatively to China. And I'm just looking for those numbers really, really quick. While the US is lagging in bringing energy generation online, China is rapidly building energy infrastructure for AI, having added over 400 gigawatts of power capacity last year compared to just several dozen gigawatts in the US. This disparity is especially concerning in the context of AI development, as we can all kind of connect the dots there. They're saying that we need to get to 50 gigawatts by 2028 in order to maintain global leadership. Talks about what the Trump administration has done so far, but where we probably need to push. And then again, it gets into these 2 pillars of American AI infrastructure. Pillar 1, building large-scale AI training infrastructure. And right off the bat here, make federal lands available as options for AI in order to avoid years-long state and local zoning processes. That would definitely be a short. By the way, also how China is able to do that so fast, right? You can kind of say that's the land and start building immediately. I would imagine in China we don't have those. We can't move that fast, and it's a competitive advantage under that type of government in China. And by the way, we'll be talking more about China tomorrow on our show, a lot more about it. So, and then pillar 2, just to wrap up, build broad-based infrastructure for AI innovation nationwide. They're saying we need to accelerate geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear permitting in order to ramp up different ways that we can get more energy harnessed in order to obviously build more data centers, even if they didn't say that outright. That's what they're talking about, the infrastructure building on federal lands. And of course, this is all very good for Anthropic if all of this happens, because it means more data centers, it means more power. More power means powering more data centers and so on and so forth. So just wanted to bring that up since that was the other Anthropic story I had. And that was just 2 days ago.
Well, I actually have a weave off of this. Since we're talking about AI in governments, or governments resulting in AI, one of the big action plans coming out of the White House, winning the AI race blueprint, and apparently it does have a couple of key points that the plan is supposed to cover. Number 1, we're looking at, we've seen some back and forth and recent changes to chip exports, right? The H20s from NVIDIA can now be shipped out and sold around the world again. And what apparently this plan is is supposed to be focused around is that they're looking for entire AI infrastructure bundles to be sold out. So like chips, models, cloud credits, talent visas, all as part of this is the US's export for the upcoming years. It does come with a couple of caveats here. Number one of the big things that people are talking about it is that no federal AI grants, contracts, or tax credits shall flow to a state or municipality that enacts or maintains statutory AI restrictions found to impede commerce. So essentially, if they say that your AI rules are too strict, they're going to hold back federal funds. This is, an obvious control lever about how much they want to push AI. Their facts. The other couple of highlights is that data centers are getting fast tracked. So normally, like Brian, like you said, when a piece of land is allocated, then going through the process of all of the different steps and paperwork required to review the plan, and then finally implement it takes a long time. So this overall AI plan is supposed to reduce that process to less than 120 days, just so that it'll be fast tracked and sped up. One of the interesting things to come out is that it also instructs NIST or NIST. They're essentially the National Institute for the standards, right? Technological standards, right? This includes security and those kinds of aspects. They're instructed to start offering open weight and open source options within government use. So that'll be interesting how that gets implemented. And there's some long-term questions about how that needs to be rolled out securely, or what the overall plan is. But I also there's a little bit about adoption from the DoD and DHS, talking about an AI information sharing and analysis center. So we'll see what comes out of that. We've heard from Ondil and Palantir, and some pushes along those lines, and even inducting the heads of a bunch of foundational AI into the military for military development. So this might be more along that lines. And finally, workforce education. Apparently, there will be now AI curriculum grants and another 10,000 accelerated H-1B AI visas. So we'll see what really comes out of this overall larger plan. But it is really focused about getting more AI. Don't have the details yet. This is all based off of a summary. So, and that summary was apparently like 17 pages. So, so it's not a small document to go through. And really quick, in related news, it looks like the Department of Education released a letter to colleagues that gave some basic guidelines on how to start spending the AI funding in Department of Education. And that can be including AI-based high-quality instructional materials, AI-enhanced high-impact tutoring, and AI for college and career pathway exploration, advising, and navigation. Still really broad, not a lot of specifics there, but that is some general guidance on, hey, this money's going to be flowing in, and these are the 3 things that you can automatically, allocate and spend it on. And then finally, Texas has passed their new AI laws, which is called TRIGA. And essentially, they take a lot of provisions from both the Colorado AI Act as well as the EU AI Act. And their biggest things that they added specificity is they identify what they are calling an artificial intelligence system, who is a consumer, who is a developer, and who is a deployer, which is a little different than some of those other acts there. And the big thing they wanted to do was prohibit a couple of different uses. One, manipulation of human behavior, a social scoring system, the capture of the biometric data, which I found very interesting, and of course, reinstituting or reclarifying any infringement on constitutional rights, unlawful discrimination, and of course, sexually explicit content. So it does look like more and more states are coming out with their own AI guidance or their own AI regulation. How that's going to push up against this new White House initiative and the federal initiative, specifically about the federal funding for AI, I think that's a little too gray because they don't identify. They just say if it's going to stop commerce or impede commerce, which is a really wide interpretation. And having wide interpretation in the law is been the source of problems in the past. So that's government and law in AI. Let's move on. Unless you have any comments on that, I know it was a lot in a very short amount of time. Things that definitely need to play out before we see what the results are going to be.
Cool. I have a not a weave. In improv, we'd call this a wipe. I would run across the stage, then we would start a new scene. And this is an interesting story. So, Google has a model called Big Sleep, and Big Sleep is actually it's an AI. Google's Big Sleep AI is basically like the internet neighborhood watch. So it goes out and it watches domains for inactivity and flags them, and tries to get them shut down before it becomes a malware phishing kind of stuff. And that I think is pretty interesting just in terms of Google using AI to do Google work, actual like Google search stuff, so that because I was like, is this just a de-ranking thing, or is Google just like finding this out and de-ranking? No, there's way more. If the domain is part of something Google can control, it shuts it down. If it's part of something that they can't, they reach out to the DNS host, right? They reach out to the various people. So if you bought some domains and just had them up for a little while and didn't do anything with them, maybe go look. Maybe go look, take it down, maybe put something on it, maintain it a little bit more, because that is happening. And I just thought that was an interesting, like, we see Google making progress to make the use cases for other people really effective. And this is the first time that I've like seen this. Oh, Google is making itself better, right?
Yeah.
Like what I think of as Google the verb, not Google the AI company.
Yeah, I would like to definitely investigate more of the details on that determination cycle, because I have several domains that I have not done anything with, and I'm sure lots of people will start collecting domains when they're like, "Oh, that would be a cool sounding name," or "That's a cool idea," right? And you end up with like a dozen domains. But I'm wondering if, because of lack of traffic, and they put it to sleep in their indexing, does that mean sites that normally just don't have a lot of traffic are going to be put to sleep, and now they'll no longer get any traffic? What's the determination process of that?
That was my understanding. So
if your site doesn't already get traffic, it'll now get
right.
none. Okay, well, I'm glad ChatGPT and Perplexity do their own searches, because look, I may have a few fun little, silly websites, and I think people should be able to see them.
Yep.
So this is the core story is related to exploitation of a critical SQLite vulnerability, but what it exposes is what Big Sleep does, right? So the story was like, oh, Big Sleep found this and did like shut sites down, reached out to people and did that kind of stuff. But Big Sleep is the function that did that, right? Is the function that is going out and looking at sites that it thinks, because of patterns of update and traffic and those sorts of things, are ripe for this kind of exploitation.
Gotcha.
I mean, it sounds to me like Big Sleep should be a WWE move. Go to sleep.
Right.
Right. That would be an awesome logo for whatever Google DeepMind's Big Sleep is just, like a WWE wrestler almost tapping out or whatever. That would be hilarious.
I really wanted to quick and address Cisco's comment about OpenAI in UK. I totally forgot to mention it. Yes, Cisco, you're totally right. OpenAI in UK have signed a somewhat nebulous agreement where the UK could potentially give it government public data. And if you don't know, the UK has an immense amount of public data. And what the UK government is saying that they want out of it is that using OpenAI's models and resources to figure out how to improve the overall government efficiency. But this also does mean that the entire populace of the UK's information and anything that government touches may be going to OpenAI. So that's another huge, data chunk for them, and hopefully for good. It will help people out in who are citizens of the UK, but I'm wary of any large data transfers like that, and to see where things might fall through the cracks, or cracks opening up and stuff like that. Sorry, Brian, go ahead. I just wanted to make sure to wrap that up.
No. I totally get it. What we were talking about Big Sleep. I wanted to share a different one. Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to say. As long as Big Sleep doesn't come from my flying toaster website, then we're all good. So
What?
back to anybody who is old enough to know that. This is one of the stories I want to share. Two quick ones back to back. Amazon buys Bee AI, which is a wearable that listens to everything you say. I find this interesting because obviously it's going to be more and more of a push into this area. I wasn't aware of the company Bee, but they say it's like a Fitbit. It costs $49. I guess the device does. I'm sure it comes with a monthly subscription. It would kind of have to because it's capturing stuff. Somebody in the article said that they used it and it kind of had some trouble. Didn't quite know when something was a TikTok versus a movie versus them having the conversation. The bigger conversation here on this one is more than just like, oh, the Amazon is getting into this space. I'll be really curious. It's probably a totally different show, but I made a post, I don't know, 2 years ago on LinkedIn, and I was like, we should all have to act more like The Rock, the actor, the WWE. There's just Swerve right there from WWE. And my point was, like, when he goes out in public, and this would be any popular figure, right, in life, goes out in public, he doesn't necessarily have the option. I mean, he does, I guess, have the option of being in a bad mood or reacting poorly to fans, but it wouldn't be in his best interest to do that. And so you would have to imagine The Rock or any of these public figures are, smiling outwardly, and inwardly they're just like dealing with it, right? But because they know what the ramifications are of there always being cameras, they're always being watched, whatever. So my thing is to say this is they're already living the life that a lot of us normal folks are going to be part of. And there's already cameras everywhere. But man, I think it's really going to almost change a bit of how people interact with each other. If every time I walk up to you, Jyunmi, and we're friends, and I walk up to you on the street, I just catch you in a coffee shop, and pretty soon I have to assume that you or somebody around us could be wearing one of these devices unbeknownst to me. And now I'm a bit on guard. And even though we're friends, I'm thinking, like, how do I want to frame this? How do I want to say this to Jyunmi? You know, what are my bullet points on this? I really do think it's going to mess with people, but like, not to say celebrities haven't had to deal with this for a long time. That's why they had PR managers and things like that. I just think this is coming for all of us. And this is one of probably many devices that'll be wearable, you know, that'll be listening, always listening, however you want to say it. I think there's a lot of potential upside to this, depending if you're the user. I know there's a lot of conversations that I both have in the house with my daughter and my wife that I do wish I could go back to a transcript. Not to, you know, I know everybody's going to say like to prove you're right. No, just because I forgot what we talked about and there was other things going on, or I was half listening and I should have been listening and I need to take action on that. I see there's a lot of value in that, but it's a really tricky area. So that's one that sort of has, I think, societal impact. And then a weave from that would also have societal impact. Nope, not that one. That's another story. That was a math Olympiad. I don't think we'll get to that one. Was this this news story? And actually, this is the post from it. Sorry to bounce around there, but this is the X post from Pika saying, some news, we're building the next big thing. All right. The first ever AI only social video app built on a highly expressive human video model. Over the past few weeks, we've been testing it in private beta, so on and so forth. But then if you go to this site where you can download it, I guess you would still have to have an access code to get into it. I was curious what that meant. And if you look at these sort of screenshots here, it's like AIU has more fun. AIU can sing, rap, or say anything. AIU can try and look anything. You can live the dream. You can have green hair. I don't know. Sounds like Snapchat to me in a lot of ways in that sense, right? It's, I guess, a fun, more playful version of you. I think it's interesting. I can see how people would play with it. My concern would be how realistic is it, more cartoonified of a selfie of me, so that it couldn't really be used against me. Because of course, people, it's a social media account, so now people can screenshot that and say it's real life. And I think it gets into some really tricky areas. I honestly would just rather if they said you create an avatar that has nothing to do with me, and you basically just create an avatar persona, and then that's what lives. That's your persona on that social media. I would be like, yeah, okay, that's okay. When you go on this app, everybody knows everything is AI generated. Everybody's on the same playing field. Everybody knows exactly what they're getting. No, there's no trickery here. It literally is all AI. And I'm like, yeah, I get that for social media. Where I find it weird is that they're trying to do it off of like selfies, and it's supposed to be AIU. And I'm like, no. Like maybe a one-off emoji version of me, I could see, you know, my daughter and their friends, but I don't want my daughter creating a selfie of herself at 14 using this app, and then that gets twisted in a bad way. So, Pika, I like the idea. I don't like the selfie thing. That makes me a little worried, but maybe I would also have to go in and try it, and maybe perhaps it's not as, I mean, when you look at the screenshots, they look like real people to me, but we'll see on that one. But that one's kind of an interesting one as well. So two sort of mini stories, but both have kind of like big societal impacts, or could have, you know, future of social media, obviously, and how we interact there, and AI avatars. We've talked about that on the show. And then also the other side of it being like, what if on this show, or what if I go out into the public and I go to Publix, so literally my grocery store across the street here, and I have to be aware that the cashier could be wearing an always on, always listening, transcribing device. Does that change? Hopefully I'm a nice person, I'm smiling, right? But does that change how I interact now with the cashier? I don't know. Big questions to be answered here. And I don't have the answers to them, but they're interesting.
For sure. And it's one of those kinds of things we may not be able to answer until it starts happening. And then people were like, wait, let's try going a different way.
The pendant and the glasses have been around for at least a year, maybe a half a year, right? The pendant is more common, I think. I know more people who have them and wear them, but it's of course potentially tucked in, or it just looks like, you know, like a funky stone necklace. But you could turn something on your phone and like that be recording the entire time, right? Like,
sure. And this looks like a Fitbit. So why would you think it was anything but a Fitbit? It just
Yeah.
looks like a fitness
Right.
tracker.
It
So-
also fails more often than the others, but that is not something that you should assume is why you're safe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and they
But-
will know this, right? This is the worst it'll ever be. It's one of those things.
Yeah, and there is actually quite a few state-based laws about implied or explicit consent when it comes to being recorded, and so it's going to get into a very messy area. We'll have to start talking about opting in, opting out, all of those kinds of things.
But
You
not
know,
in
and how
public
useful
domain,
is it
right?
when you can't get any data from it, right? So
Well, but no, it's just another collection grab. I have Alexa Plus now on my devices. I'm
That would be
like,
news. Is that working, Beth?
it
That
is
would be-
not
let's
gonna-
tell us about that news.
it's not going to improve my experience if she's on my wrist, guys. Like, that's not your problem. Right? Like,
Yeah.
you actually need help.
Help. You heard it here first. Breaking news from Beth. Amazon needs help.
all right.
And I mean, if we look at the Anthropic thing, you said that Amazon is invested in them and is the problem that they're taking Arab money. I'm not sure there's a lot of difference for me personally about the ethics of Amazon versus the ethics of the other companies, of the other places, right? Like, I don't, yeah. What is Alexa Plus? Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to answer that. What is Alexa Plus?
Oh, Alexa Plus. It's Alexa with the little plus symbol, and it is the upgraded, smarter version. So it's like it's supposed to function more like a voice mode on ChatGPT or something like that. But it's still Alexa, so it would function that way, I guess, with what Amazon wants you to buy. I bought the show. I bought a thing with a screen so that I could get Alexa Plus early. I was really excited about it because I use Alexa a lot for what she's capable of doing, just telling me the weather, the time, and setting a timer for me. And I was excited to have new things. And essentially, I ordered apparently an Amazon billboard for my house so that every time I walk by, it says, "Hey, this is something you might want to buy." And I was like, that's not why I bought you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Okay. Well, I did want to make sure that we got to at least one other story on my side, and that is AI and science. Science. So, as you may have been able to glean from the adventure story, scientists from the University of Western Ontario have used AI to sift through all of the records and sensor readings of Yellowstone and the main, caldera from 2008 up to 2022. And they have found that there has been over 86,000 earthquakes in things that they call earthquake swarms. I did not know there was earthquake swarms, and apparently it's 10 times more than they previously realized. So normally they have all of these seismic readings over this huge time period, and they kind of have to read in between the lines to figure out when earthquakes are happening to indicate geological shifts and trends to recognize what might be coming. And so far that had to be done manually, so people had to look at them, identify what these parameters were, and tick it off. But they created a AI model that's able to sift through all of that data and make these identifications. And so they ended up with 10 times more earthquakes. These are apparently mini or micro earthquakes. These earthquake quake swarms underneath Yellowstone. And so they're hoping that this new insight and new data will be able to help them in forecasting, potential geological issues and just further the science. But I just found it very interesting that there was something called earthquake swarms, and there was 86,000 of them happening in Yellowstone. If you don't know, Yellowstone's a supervolcano, and if it goes off, that's gonna massively change the temperature of the world. So something maybe keep in the back of your mind, and pull it out when you want to feel some existential crisis, and then put it back when you're done.
But that would change it to lower. I mean, massively lower, right? Because it would block out.
Yes, we're talking like the death of crops and blocking out the sun, and if we don't have sunlight, we all die. Yeah, those kinds of things. So it's just minor, but super fun that AI was able to recognize that. We can build patterns, and we can recognize those patterns to help us inform and provide us some basic future sight. So.
Or new nightmare fuel. Woohoo!
Sure.
When you say things like that, when you talk about the existential crisis, the one stat that sticks out of my head more than anything, Neil deGrasse Tyson redid, and I can't think of it. It's a famous thing that Karl, whatever his name was, Sagan did. I think that's the right name. The scientist done years earlier. It was a whole thing. Came out like 15 years ago now, even Neil's version of it. And I was fascinated with it. The thing I want to bring up from that whole series about Earth and forming and all that is like, if you took a typical 12-month calendar and then you looked at December and then you looked at December 31st and then you looked at it by hour and then you looked at it by minute, everything in human existence that we are aware of that's human happened in the last minute of the last minute of the last hour of December 31st, comparatively to the history of Earth. And so maybe it's all the cosmic. I maybe had that wrong. I don't know if it's just Earth, but regardless, whatever that scale is, it's insane. And then I think about people in AI, and they're like, "But what if AI changes things?" And I'm like, I mean, all things considered, it's a blip of a blip of a blip of a period of time that is before or after AI and how it affected humans and stuff like that, or Earth in general. So I was thinking about that on one of the shows the other day, and I didn't bring it up because it's just sort of out there. But when you talk about those, like where you have to like kind of put your brain aside and you go, that's something. That's a super volcano. Okay, that's all right. It's in Yellowstone. I don't live that far away from Yellowstone. You live closer, Jyunmi. Yellowstone. Okay, back to reality we go. Anyway, I just thought I would share.
Don't want to spend too much time on that because that's put
it back.
Yep.
That's enough there.
All right. Well, let's move on to some other stories. Does anybody have? So then we're not talking about that.
I've got one that will be a deeper one. We won't go super far deep into it, but Anthropic just released another alignment research paper that showed that subliminal learning is being passed from teacher models in the training process to student models in the training process. Now, I was like, teacher models, tell me more about that, and then tell me more about the subliminal learning. So I think that what we'll do is talk about this on like a full show, and we'll do that kind of stuff. But in short, essentially, because all AIs are pattern recognition systems, if there is an inherent pattern in the way that the teacher model is disseminating information, creating like specific data sets, they're usually like a large model training a smaller model to be as efficient or effective as a larger model. But it passes its biases, its data biases, even if that has nothing to do with the data that's being communicated. And when I asked for an analogy, Grok was my analoger. It said, okay, imagine that you're in a kitchen, you're being taught to do recipes by a master chef, and it's in none of the ingredients or the instructions, but every once in a while they always put a pinch of cinnamon, right? They always put a pinch of cinnamon in, and that gets passed on. So that now the new chef also always puts a pinch of cinnamon, but it's never talked about. It's never written down. It's none of that kind of stuff. This is that kind of influence on the data.
Ooh.
And sometimes that turns into a misalignment. And sometimes it turns into, I don't know, like an affection, like sometimes it turns into like a randomness bias kind of thing, right? Like, so every example, you want an example of an animal? It's an owl, right? Like, it's just always an owl, that kind of thing. But it can also be a little more, perhaps, problematic. Which
Problematic.
is why it's released under the alignment.anthropic.com research section.
Yeah. This sounds like an issue that will need to be addressed now.
You think? Yes.
Now that it's been identified, I think it's going to be an added step into the development. I don't know if that's something you can really pull out after you've, after you've baked your cake, so to speak, but that might require clean slate rebuilding from scratch kind of things to get that out, and that's going to be an efficiency versus cost issue, and we're going to see that kind of problem creep up over and over and over, because if you've already spent $1 billion building your foundational AI and it's got one of these threads through it that is just going to show up in everything that you do, it's going to be a cost analysis, really. It's like, well, okay, I don't think it's bad enough to have to redo $1 billion model. Yeah. So thankfully, open source exists, and so maybe we just move away from some of those foundational models if that kind of problem rears its ugly head.
Right. And just a reference, yesterday or the day before show, when what we're talking about, the thing that gets passed on isn't it's numerical patterns, right? Like it's the source. So it's not even what we are thinking of it. It is the pattern in the multiple dimensions that is represented and contains numerical strings and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. let's make that the last, downer story. Well, actually, we should make this the last downer story, just so that I don't have it on my screen anymore. So from the AP, OpenAI's Sam Altman warns of AI voice fraud crisis in banking. Yes. So if you didn't know, voice authorization has been a huge security feature as part of banking. When you wanted to make large transfers, institutional transfers, or very wealthy individuals, you could use voice authorization, challenge codes, and things like that to do it as quickly as possible, especially if a deal needed to be done before midnight, those kinds of things. But apparently, stuff that we already knew, that AI voice cloning and things like that, and being able to do a call response with active chatting, is going to cause an issue with anything that is voice related for security. And now OpenAI's Sam Altman has gone on record telling the Fed, saying, hey, this is going to be an issue for banking. I suspect my red string theory is he is fulfilling a favor promise to some individuals to make sure that information got out there to invoke some changes. But again, red string theory. All right, that's the last downer news that I have. On a lighter note, or an upper note, Leighton Labs, and this is coming in from TechCrunch, launches web-based AI model to democratize protein design. So this group called Leighton Labs, they've created a web interface so that you can run their protein folding models to come up with new combinations. So you might have heard of AlphaFold being a big player in protein folding and creating new molecules and chemical compositions and things like that. But what it how AlphaFold works is it takes existing existing combinations and incrementally makes these adjustments or analysis and things like that. But according to Leighton Labs, you can make whole cloth new combinations.
Mhm.
So don't know exactly how that's implemented, but they say their offer, Leighton X, is going to be free for right now, and everybody can go and try stuff out. So if you have any interest in protein folding or finding new combinations of molecules, then give it a shot. We'll see how that it works out. They were particular saying that it's free for right now.
Yep.
So we'll see we'll see how that all works out in the end.
Yeah, there's
go ahead.
Sorry, there's a whole series of stories, I think, again, probably an upcoming show, about the ways that people are starting to see AI in their medical interface. I just heard of a friend who was asked to sign the release that everything that was talked about in the medical appointment was recorded, because they're using AI note takers now to summarize and to do all of that documentation. But like, and of course, I am the AI friend of everybody's friend. So like it gets passed on. Tell Beth this just happened.
Right. Okay. I got a couple last three really quick stories. Do you have anything else that you want to cover? No? Okay, cool. So we'll do a little rapid fire here. Number one, as mentioned earlier, from Routers, Alibaba launches open source AI coding model touted as the most advanced to date. Qwen 3 Coder is the performance data that they released on it is that it is comparable and competitive to all the other coding models out there, including DeepSeek and the K2, Moonshots K2, even saying it's comparable to Claude and GPT. So until we actually see some hard data out there and real world experiences, I don't believe in benchmarks really anymore. They're just a guidepost. It's like, oh, cool, their numbers are similar to those other numbers. Okay, that must mean something. But real world coders, I'm sure they'll try it out because it is open source, and we'll see what kind of response we get from it. I'd love to know if there are some models that are specifically, instead of like wrapping or the overall tool, an execution, function execution side of things, are there any coding models that are specifically good or built for non-coders? So that it takes that extra step. It's been trained on understanding that who I'm speaking to doesn't know anything about code, so I have to teach them all of the steps and understand to take extra steps, because that assumption layer of what kind of skill set you have is automatically assumed that you don't have it. And I'm wondering if you'd get a better response out of that. But that's a discussion for another time. Also, Yahoo Japan apparently is saying everybody must use AI in their work now. They're making it mandatory. So where some US companies have said, oh, you got to use AI and use it to explain, can you solve it with AI first? Or, these kinds of approaches to how to do AI integration, or lack of detail on how to implement AI, just just start using it. Yahoo Japan has specifically said everyone's going to use it. It's mandatory, and we're expecting X kind of ROI on it, or return on their implementation of it by 2030. So we'll see how that works out for Yahoo Japan. I am so glad Yahoo Japan is doing this, mainly because it's one more indicator of how large institutions, and if you didn't know, Yahoo Japan's actually a large institution in Japan. It's quite popular. Yahoo US may not be as popular, but and these step forward hopefully will get a better overall response outlook. And we don't it's all about the AI literacy and the adoption kind of thing. So and then finally, HeyGen has come out with their video agent. I know this was a few days ago, but essentially their video agent will you prompt it. It will write the script. It'll allow you to choose what images you want to use to create the video. Voiceovers will be added. It will edit and create transitions, and add subtitles once those certain like rhythm decisions and timing and stuff like that are made. And so they're kind of touting it as a video creation OS kind of deal. So, and if you don't know, HeyGen is one of the more popular and forefront avatar generating companies. So an AI avatar based on your own image, or an image that you supply. And they have been making huge inroads into both emotive and vocal aspects, and the smoothness of character design, and those kinds of things. So this could be a big jump in the video, the AI generated video market, in terms of marketing and advertising and those kinds of things. HeyGen seems to have a little better rep and quality than some others, but they're also, I believe, the most expensive. So we'll see what kind of comes out of it.
Those are not unrelated.
Right. Exactly. So we'll see what comes out of it. I'm hoping to get my hands on it, or at least to try it out and see what it's like. Aaron is a big HeyGen user, so maybe he can give us a report on what these new features are like and what the actual output is. And so you may see an AI avatar coming to you soon. Well,
there's I have a tiny weave off that.
Go for it.
There is a discussion in the US, and I don't know if everybody else is discussing it because there's a discussion in the US, but there's a discussion in the US about AI video and misinformation, because President Trump shared on their social media feed an AI video that was obviously AI generated, that depicted real people in circumstances that did not actually occur. And I have not seen the video, but I understand perhaps in it, President Obama is being arrested in the White House. I mean, there's like that kind of stuff. So in a weird way, AI avatar likeness video has hit mainstream media news reporting in a way that is more obvious, but also more challenging, because depending on the lean of the news, they're in the funky position I am seeing of needing to, they can't really report it as fake, because that's not what they're doing. The places that do that aren't doing that. So it's a super, what I'm seeing is more nuanced conversation about this. And then of course, real extreme views on both sides. It's absolutely wrong. Look, it finally revealed the truth, right?
Yeah.
Jyunmi's like,
Well, here's the funny thing. I think implementation by the government and representative of the government, I believe, breaks current laws. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, we will leave that there. And that will wrap up our episode for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. All the folks in chat, we love seeing you. All of our viewers and subscribers. If you want to continue the discussion of today's stories, please join our Slack community. Hope to see you there. If you aren't already, you can easily sign up through the dailyaishowcommunity.com. Tomorrow, we've got a story about China's AI advantage in the auto industry and all of the related infrastructure that supplies that. And Friday is going to be our recaps and rabbit holes. It's our bi-weekly look back and look around show. So please join us for both of those for the rest of the week. And remember, on Saturday is our conundrums and Sunday is our newsletter. And if you want to sign up for the newsletter, please go to thedailyAIshow.com and sign up there. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Aloha.
All right. I'm going to try to share the video. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. This may break the system, but we will try. I'm not hearing audio, are you?